Imagine waking up, walking to your front door in your pajamas, throwing it wide open, and just like letting 50 strangers rush into your hallway.
Yeah, that sounds like an absolute nightmare.
Right, just letting them shout their demands, their opinions, and, their panic right in your face.
You'd never do that.
Yeah.
Not in real life.
Never. But the moment you grab your smartphone from the nightstand at, say, 6:00 a.m., that is exactly what you're doing to your brain.
Yeah.
You are literally inviting the entire world into your bedroom before you've even stretched. So welcome to this custom-tailored deep dive. Today, we're taking all those articles, the notes, and the specific excerpts I provided, particularly focusing on that piece, Morning Habits for a Better Life.
Right. The one originally featured on the Easy English podcast.
Exactly. And we're distilling all of that down to its most crucial insights because, look, we all want to have better days. More productive, less stressful days.
Oh, totally.
But in our rush to conquer the afternoon, we completely forget that a better day is entirely dependent on having a better morning.
It's the foundation.
It is. And our mission today is to figure out how these tiny intentional habits can fundamentally alter your energy and your mindset. So what does this all mean?
Yeah.
How does a minor shift before you even put your shoes on echo through the next 16 hours of your life?
It really requires us to look at the anatomy of human behavior, I think. Starting with the default state most of us are currently stuck in.
Right.
Because to really understand how to reconstruct your morning, you first have to deconstruct a broken one.
Makes sense.
And the narrative we're analyzing introduces us to a character named Lina. Her baseline routine is, well, it's incredibly revealing because it just mirrors the modern human condition so perfectly.
Oh, completely. Reading through her routine was, honestly, it was like looking in a mirror for a lot of us.
Yeah. She wakes up late. She feels exhausted before her feet even hit the floor. And, her immediate instinct before her eyes were even fully adjusted to the light is to reach for the phone.
Muscle memory just takes over. The alarm goes off and boom, phone in hand.
Exactly.
You start scrolling through messages. Then she pivots to social media feeds, and then she's looking at work emails.
Which is just a recipe for disaster.
It is. And the immediate result isn't just that she wastes a few minutes. She feels rushed. She feels stressed out.
Perpetually behind schedule.
Yes. Her entire morning becomes chaotic. And because her morning starts in a state of chaos, that chaos just bleeds into every other hour of her day.
What's fascinating here is the psychological toll of this reactive state.
Okay, say more about that.
Well, when Lina starts her day by responding to external stimuli, she is actively surrendering control of her mindset. By absorbing this barrage of information and demands and news before her brain is fully transitioned out of sleep, she triggers a sudden, unnatural spike in cortisol.
The stress hormone.
Right. She's thrown instantly into defense mode. And once you start your day in defense mode, stress just becomes the operating system for everything that follows.
Wow.
You aren't acting upon the world anymore. You're merely reacting to it.
So she hasn't even decided what kind of mood she wants to be in, and the notifications have already decided for her.
Exactly.
It's like setting this anchor of anxiety the moment you wake up, and for the rest of the day, you're just dragging that heavy weight behind you.
And that dragging sensation is actually the compounding effect of cognitive fatigue.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Think back to your front door analogy. When you let 50 strangers into your hallway, your brain has to process all of their demands.
Right. Reply to this email or look at this terrible news.
Compare your life to this influencer's vacation.
Ugh, the worst.
Right. Your brain is expending an enormous amount of energy managing that threat level, which explains why Lina feels tired before she even leaves her house.
Which brings her to a breaking point, naturally. I mean, she knows her chaotic mornings are ruining her days, and she is just desperate for a different approach.
Yeah.
So she looks around her office and notices her colleague, Emma. Now, Emma is that person we all secretly envy.
Oh, we all know an Emma.
Right. She always arrives at work calm. She's highly focused. She actually smiles in the morning, which is wild.
Unheard of.
So Lina finally asks Emma for her secret, probably expecting some intense, highly optimized productivity hack.
A spreadsheet or something.
Exactly. But Emma drops this incredibly paradigm-shifting piece of wisdom. She tells Lina, and I quote, "It's not about waking up early, it's about how you begin."
That is such a crucial distinction. Emma is decoupling two concepts that we constantly conflate.
How so?
Well, we've been conditioned to believe that having a quote-unquote good morning requires being a morning person who jolts out of bed at 4 a.m. for some 3-hour marathon of productivity.
Yeah, the whole hustle culture thing?
Right. And that is an intimidating, often entirely unsustainable standard. But Emma reframes the entire concept. The time on the clock is completely irrelevant. The quality of those first few actions is what actually dictates the trajectory of the day.
And the specific 5-step routine Emma shares is surprisingly brief. It's almost startling in its simplicity.
Very simple.
Like step 1, don't check your phone first. Step 2, drink water. Step 3, move your body. Step 4, take a few deep breaths. And step 5, start your mind with something positive.
That's it. 5 foundational actions. They require absolutely no special equipment, no intense athletic ability, and really very little time.
Okay, let's unpack this.
Yep.
Because I have to play devil's advocate here for you listening.
Fair enough.
When I read that list, a part of me immediately pushes back. I look at my own stressful, chaotic work days, and I think, is simply drinking a glass of room temperature water and taking a deep breath really going to rewrite an entire disaster of a Tuesday?
It does sound a bit light, doesn't it?
Yeah. It sounds almost too simplistic, like a motivational bumper sticker rather than a scientifically grounded life strategy.
That skepticism is entirely warranted. I mean, if you look at those actions in isolation, just hydrogen, oxygen, and a bit of stretching, they do not seem powerful enough to combat modern burnout.
Right.
But the power isn't in the water itself. The power is in what those physical actions represent to your nervous system. Emma is utilizing the power of the buffer.
The buffer. So is that basically like building a firewall between your waking brain and the rest of the world?
That is a brilliant way to conceptualize it. Yes.
Yeah.
By actively choosing not to look at the phone, which is a huge psychological boundary, and instead focusing on basic physical grounding, Emma is intentionally creating a boundary of calm.
Okay, I see.
After 8 hours of sleep, your body is naturally dehydrated and your nervous system is in this very delicate transitional state. So hydrating, moving your limbs, and taking deep diaphragmatic breaths, it sends a massive physiological signal of safety to your brain. You're basically telling your autonomic nervous system, we are safe. We are in control of this environment.
So you're choosing to attend to your own biological needs before you attend to the digital demands of others.
Exactly.
You're prioritizing the internal over the external.
Which completely bypasses that morning cortisol spike we talked about earlier.
Oh, right.
When you take a deep breath, you stimulate the vagus nerve. That engages the parasympathetic nervous system, the rest and digest mode.
So you're literally programming your body for calm rather than fight or flight.
Yes. This buffer zone, this firewall, it protects your mindset. It gives you a chance to wake up on your own terms.
Okay, understanding that mechanism makes the 5 steps feel much more substantial. But, I mean, understanding the buffer is one thing. Actually overriding the muscle memory to grab your phone at 6 a.m. is a completely different battle.
It really is.
Like, how do you rewrite a physical instinct that is that deeply ingrained?
Well, the transition from theory to consistent action is where most behavioral changes fall apart. But the narrative provides a very realistic look at how Lina tackles this.
Yeah, the very next morning, her alarm goes off. Instinctively, her hand shoots out to grab the phone.
Of course.
But she pauses. She remembers Emma's firewall concept. She forces herself to put the phone down. She drinks the water. She stretches. She takes the deep breaths. But, and I thought this was so interesting, the narrative makes a point to describe how she feels in that moment. It says it feels strange, quiet, and different.
That sensory void is a major hurdle. When your brain is so accustomed to immediate digital stimulation, silence doesn't feel peaceful.
No, it feels weird.
It feels alarming. It feels like something is missing.
Which brings us to the most crucial part of her implementation. She doesn't just sit there in the uncomfortable silence, like clenching her fists and trying her hardest not to look at her phone.
That would never last.
No. She utilizes Emma's 5th step, starting the mind with something positive. She fills that quiet void with active learning. In her case, she picks up a book, specifically a guide called Short Stories in English for Beginners, which is part of the Teach Yourself series. And she doesn't just read it silently. She reads one short story out loud, slowly.
If we connect this to the bigger picture of behavioral psychology, what Lina is doing here carries massive structural weight.
Really? Just reading a story?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because you cannot simply delete a bad habit and leave an empty space behind. The brain abhors a vacuum.
That makes sense.
If you try to just sit there doing nothing, your willpower will eventually deplete and you're going to grab the phone. Replacing a deeply wired habit requires a substitute action.
It makes me think about dietary habits.
Oh, that's a good comparison.
Like if you're trying to cut out junk food, you can't just tell yourself, don't eat cookies, and then just, stare at an empty dinner plate.
Right, you'd be miserable.
You'll eventually cave because you're fundamentally hungry. You have to put something else on the plate. So Lina isn't just cutting out the junk food, like the empty dopamine hits and the high-stress calories of social media. She is actively feeding her brain a nutritious, calming breakfast.
That dietary framing perfectly captures the mechanism at play here. Language learning through simple graded stories is the cognitive equivalent of a highly nutritious meal.
I love that.
Think about what is actually happening in her brain when she reads a beginner-level story out loud. It requires focus, which gently wakes up her prefrontal cortex.
Okay.
Because the stories are designed for beginners, the cognitive load is manageable. It engages her without frustrating her. And by reading out loud, she is engaging her visual processing to see the words, her motor cortex to speak them, and her auditory processing to hear them.
Wow, so it's a closed-loop system of positive feedback.
Exactly.
She's completely engaged in a safe, controlled task, which is the exact opposite of the infinite, unpredictable doom scroll of a social media feed.
It anchors her attention entirely in the present moment. She's stimulating her mind, but doing so in a way that feels rewarding and constructive. She is taking complete control of the menu she feeds her brain.
And once she establishes that control, she starts expanding the menu.
She builds on it.
Yeah. A few days later, she introduces another resource into her routine. It's a collection called Learn English Through Stories. 16 stories to improve your English grammar and English vocabulary.
Right.
And the stories are specifically described as simple, positive, and easy to follow. They reinforce that state of calm, focused thinking before the workday even begins.
She's proving to herself that she can dictate her morning inputs. And the success of that first habit creates a momentum that just spills over into the next part of her day.
The snowball effect is incredible to watch. Like we see her move from the bedroom to the kitchen, and the habit stacking really takes off. During breakfast, she puts on an audio program, Effortless English. Learn to speak English like a native. But she isn't just passively letting the audio play in the background while she, worries about her commute.
No, she's active.
She practices simple, spoken affirmations along with it. She says out loud, I feel good today. She says, today is a new day.
The inclusion of spoken affirmations is another really powerful layering technique. Vocalizing a positive state helps to solidify it as a reality for the brain. But, and I think this is key, the narrative is also very honest about the friction she experiences.
Yes. Here's where it gets really interesting. Because the text explicitly notes that feeling good and saying these positive affirmations out loud felt unusual to her at first.
Yeah.
Why do we do that? Like, why do we as humans resist positive changes just because they feel unfamiliar? Why on earth does feeling calm feel strange to us?
It all comes down to a biological imperative called homeostasis.
Homeostasis.
Right. Your brain is essentially a highly sophisticated prediction machine. Its primary evolutionary goal is to keep you alive. And it does that by keeping your internal environment and your external routines as predictable as possible.
Okay, so it likes what it knows.
Exactly. Yeah. It functions a lot like a thermostat in a house.
Yeah.
If your internal thermostat has been set to chaotic 7.00 a.m. cortisol spike for the last 5 years, your brain accepts that toxic state as its baseline.
Oh.
It genuinely believes that panic is the normal state of affairs.
So when Lina suddenly introduces room temperature water, deep breathing, and, calm language learning, the brain just gets confused.
It doesn't just get confused, it actively resists. The brain rings an alarm bell. It looks around and says, wait, where's our morning panic? Where's the rush of adrenaline we usually get from checking work emails in bed? This feels wrong.
That is so wild.
To a prediction machine, anything unfamiliar equals dangerous. Even if the unfamiliar thing is objectively healthier, the brain will try to pull you back to the toxic baseline simply because it's predictable.
So that's why feeling calm felt unusual and almost uncomfortable to her.
Precisely.
Her brain was essentially craving the panic just because it was a familiar flavor. That is a wild concept to wrap your head around.
It is.
But the beauty of Lina's story is that she doesn't give in to that false alarm. She pushes through the initial discomfort. She keeps going day by day, overriding the old thermostat setting until this new peaceful routine becomes her default baseline.
And because she fundamentally changes the start of the chain, the rest of the links in the day inevitably change as well.
Right.
The narrative highlights 3 very specific cascading results of her new buffer zone. As her mornings become peaceful, she finds she has significantly more energy, sharper mental clarity, and a really profound sense of control over her schedule.
It culminates in this genuinely beautiful moment. She looks out her window, the sun is coming up, everything in her environment is quiet, and she just smiles.
That's a great image.
It really is. She finally grasps the underlying thesis of Emma's advice. You do not need a perfect morning. You don't need a perfectly optimized 3-hour routine modeled after some tech billionaire.
No, not at all.
You just need a better start. A small, intentional wedge placed right at the beginning of the day to stop the chaos from rolling downhill.
Small strategic habits yield disproportionately huge results. Calm mornings breed calm days, just as surely as stressful mornings breed stressful days.
Yeah.
It is a completely unbroken chain of cause and effect. By protecting those first few minutes, you protect the entire day.
It really forces you to evaluate what kind of chain reaction you are setting off when you open your eyes. So for you listening right now, taking in all these insights, this is the core takeaway we want to leave you with. Your morning shapes your day. Full stop.
Absolutely.
It isn't just some annoying waiting room you have to sit in before your real life begins. It is the absolute foundation of your mindset.
It is the psychological lens through which you will experience every single conversation, every single email, and every single challenge that comes your way over the next 12 to 16 hours.
Knowing that, here is the challenge based on the mechanics we've unpacked today. Tomorrow morning, try Emma's simple list.
Just once.
Right, you don't have to commit to it for the rest of your life. Just try it once. When you open your eyes, actively choose to build the firewall. Do not open your front door to the shouting crowd of strangers.
The phone alone.
Leave the phone completely alone. Drink a glass of water to signal safety to your body. Take a deep, intentional breath. Move your limbs a little bit. And then find a positive, constructive input to substitute the doom scroll.
Read one page of a physical book, listen to a few minutes of an educational audio program, or simply look out the window and let your brain wake up on its own terms. Give yourself the gift of that buffer.
And as you think about the logistics of making that small but vital shift tomorrow, I want to leave you with one final thought to ponder.
Go for it.
We've spent this time exploring how dramatically Lina's entire life trajectory shifted just by taking back the first 5 minutes of her morning from her devices. So ask yourself this. If reclaiming just the first 5 minutes of your day can give you clarity, energy, and control over the next 15 hours, what other default habits are secretly dictating the quality of your life without you even noticing?
That is a phenomenal question to sit with as you go about your day. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. We loved exploring the hidden architecture of these habits with you, and we sincerely hope tomorrow morning brings you a little more calm and a lot more control. Until next time.